what we want to ask you this time now is you're against 11. So your toughest competition that you played against. We did speak to Neville Southall, and he said he was the toughest he came up against. He said, especially on free kicks and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Did he?
Be interesting to hear some of your toughest goalkeepers and defenders throughout your career.
It's really funny you should say that, because he was, when I was thinking about the goalkeeper, he was the first name that came into my head.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people have said on our podcast, give him the world class rating. So he was best in the world for 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
It was a shame he didn't make they got banned from Europe, the England sides at his peak. So he didn't quite make a Champions League as such.
Yeah.
But it did win a European trophy though. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, goalkeeper wise, who was the toughest goalkeeper that you come up against?
I think Neville Southall was the best goalkeeper I came up against. Peter Schmeichel was pretty close behind.
Yep.
David Seaman would be up there. But I think in his heyday, I don't think he was a better goalkeeper in the world than Neville Southall.
Yeah, you said that Tim Flowers was the pick of the bunch last time, and all of us missed your joke. When I was editing, I was like, damn.
I don't know if it was a joke.
Fair enough. So, what
Neville
about...
was great. I remember there was one incident down at the Dell, which, looking back, actually quite tickled me. But so I'd never scored against Everton. I played against them quite a few times, and I had this chance at the Dell, and I remember it. I got through, a little ball got dinked over the top, and I was coming in at a little bit of an angle, and the ball was bouncing, and so it was set up perfectly just for me to go and volley it and smash it in the net. I thought I'll try and be clever here, so I kind of went to dummy it to look like I was going to volley it, but then I was just going to dink it over his head as he dived.
Yeah.
And I went to like feign the volley, and then went to dink it over his head, and he never bought the dummy for the volley. And he just stood there and went like that. Thank you very much. I just remember looking at him going, "You twat!" Yeah. And he just laughed at me.
I think he said on the pod actually he always tried to just stay still.
Stay still.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't buy the dummy at all.
He said he appreciated coming up against the more clever players because he was more of a mental battle.
Yeah.
Rather than, he said, most of them, if they're not thinking, he knows they're going to blast it, and he could stay tall.
Dive early, yeah.
Yeah.
Like an Alan Shearer, basically.
Yeah.
Find that easier.
He had crazy reaction times, didn't he, Neville Southall?
Yeah.
For a big man, he used to fly across the net.
Yeah, he did that. He's a big man now.
Yeah. Yeah, great player.
So onto your defence then. Are you going to play 4-4-2 again?
Yeah, I'm old school. 4-4-2.
Yeah. Okay. So right back, who's the toughest right back you come up against?
Toughest right back.
And you was a winger, you probably got kicked by a few. So.
Yeah, I mean, I could literally, as a back four, I could almost pick Arsenal's back four of back in the day when it was Dixon, Adams, Keown, Winterburn. Lee Dixon was I found quite difficult to play against. There was too many others that were kind of tricky to play against than Lee. I mean, I don't think he got quite the credit he deserved sometimes.
Gary Neville, right back there.
Yeah, I didn't really find Gary that difficult to play against, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Trying to think of others.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an area where we haven't really had brilliant right backs in this country in the Premier League.
Yeah,
not in abundance. No, I agree.
Yeah, I didn't play against Carl.
Oh, true. Sorry, I think I meant generally. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm talking about my era because I think when that question's been asked of me, I've always struggled with the right back right back spot.
What was the right back for Blackburn? Was it Blackburn or that Carlton Palmer played with?
Ronan Nielsen.
Ronan Nielsen.
Yeah, very good player. Yeah, I think he was Swedish lad, wasn't he? He was outstanding.
Yeah,
because he went to Coventry.
He did,
Coventry.
Sheffield, yeah. He would be up there.
Okay. Centre back then, are you going to go with the Arsenal back four?
Centre backs, I mean, in terms of, I struggled. Martin Keown was horrible to play against. He was just a They nicknamed him the Rash for a reason, because he just wouldn't. I mean, George Graham used to literally tell him to follow me around the pitch, and he did. He wouldn't leave my side for 90 minutes. It was just embarrassing. I felt like I knew him better after 90 minutes than I did my missus. So he was horrible to play against. I didn't like playing against Martin. Yeah, the other one I struggled to play against as a centre back was Des Walker.
Des Walker, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it was the Forest fans used to sing "You'll never beat Des Walker," and I couldn't. Yeah. It was like he was too quick for me, and he read the game pretty well. So yeah, I put Des in there as well.
Okay, left back then.
Stuart Pearce.
I
have no hesitation. I still have cold sweats as a 17-year-old. I remember as a 17-year-old, my second ever game for Saints was against Forest.
Oh wow!
And I was like, as a 17-year-old, it's difficult to imagine now, but I was quite skinny. I was like about 10 stone dripping wet. And I took a look down who I was playing against, and I saw these thighs, and I was like, Jesus Christ, where the hell? And he booted the crap out of me for about 4 years before I kind of bulked up a little bit, and then I wasn't quite so frightened of him. So yeah, Stuart Pearce would get in.
Stuart Pearce. Okay. Midfield then. What about defensive midfielder? You would have come up against Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, Paul Ince. There'd have been quite a few there, wouldn't there?
There would have been
Carlton,
a lot of candidates for that job. I think I'd probably go with Patrick Vieira.
Yeah.
He was pretty awesome. Yeah,
T as well, I suppose.
He did have everything. And also, as a bonus, what a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
Honestly, I remember I just retired. This is a true story. I just retired, and I'd gone to on holiday, and I was in Mauritius with my girlfriend at the time, and we were sat in our hotel having dinner one night, and Patrick came with his wife and sat on the next table.
Small world.
And so I was like, "All right, Patrick," and he was so nice, and he went, "Matt, he said, tomorrow night," he said, "you must come to my hotel." He said, "I'm staying at the hotel." Obviously, the more expensive one. I'm staying at the hotel up the road. He said, "You must come, and you'll be my guest tomorrow night with your girlfriend, and you can come and eat with my family." And honestly, it was one of the loveliest meals I've ever had. We were in this restaurant, which was out in stilts, out in the water.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like with about an 8-course meal, and it was just absolutely stunning. And he wouldn't take a penny for it. He was like, "No, this is on me." So yeah, it was really nice.
Good lad.
Yeah. On-field general. Sweet hat off it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great player. Yeah.
What about some of the other midfielders you'd have in there? So wingers and maybe an attacking midfielder.
So Gaza would be
in
the midfield for me. Glenn Hoddle would have to be in the midfield. Somewhere I'd have to squeeze them all in. somewhere in some kind of formation. They were
it sounds like the England lineup
players.
in the summer.
Southgate's problem that. Yeah,
20 midfielders.
I know. Well, I probably actually. I probably wouldn't have a defensive midfielder in it.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
So I would have probably played Hoddle and Gascoigne in the middle.
Right, okay.
Oh, wow, yeah,
have him like box to box.
Or Gaza obviously was probably a little bit better at the defensive side of things than perhaps Glenn was. A bit more. He was a bit of a harder worker, I'd have said. So yeah, I'd have probably played those. But there were, so many good midfielders. I played against Brian Robson as well. He was, a midfielder that could do everything.
Yeah,
he was good at everything about his job, and he was a proper box to box. When midfielders actually, could do more than one job, and you didn't have to be an attacking or a defensive midfielder. Some of them could do it both. But yeah, those days have gone. Some good wingers that I played against.
What is it like as a winger coming up against another winger? Because obviously you're more attacking the full back, or when you moved inside, you're coming up against the defenders. I suppose the wingers and the strikers don't really come into it as much, but how does that impact your game? There were... Wingers probably had. It was almost like they had this little pact between them that went, "I won't tackle you if you don't tackle me." She used to go, "All right, you get the ball, you attack our fullback. As long as you let me have the ball, and I'll attack your fullback." But then managers started getting the wingers to come back and doubling up and trying to obviously do that kind of thing. But yeah, there was kind of some very good wingers. I mean, Ryan Giggs destroyed us on many occasions at Old Trafford. He was just
running with the ball, you couldn't get it off him, and if you didn't have the pace to match him, you were toast.
Yeah.
So he would have been right up there. I remember playing against Anders Limpar at Arsenal, and he was tricky as anything. But the one stand out for me was the one I struggled with in the questions before was David Ginola.
Okay, yeah.
David was what a player, good looking chap as well.
Yeah. And he came to the Premier League older, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Wasn't in his pomp, I wouldn't say. Really, he's probably.
But I mean the seasons he had at Newcastle. Especially, and Spurs as well. But I thought he was outstanding. So yeah.
If he couldn't beat you one-on-one, he'd just curl it in from 30 yards, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, David and Giggsy would probably get in there as the wide men.
Okay.
Mark Overmars, you did mention an Arsenal player then, but did you ever come up against Mark Overmars much?
A little bit.
How good was he? Arsenal fan. He was one of my favourite players when I was younger, but
very good.
Rate him on the pitch.
Yeah, no, he was also very good. Yeah, he would be up there in that conversation.
Rapid,
for sure.
wasn't he? Absolutely rapid.
Yeah.
And striker wise, I know you put Shearer in your all-time Southampton list. Did you come up against him much when he plays for Blackburn?
Yeah, he scored a few against us at Blackburn. He also missed 2 penalties for Blackburn against Southampton.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
In the same game or
No, different games.
Different games.
Yeah. I think one was against Bruce Grobbelaar, I think, and one against Dave Besant. I think the other one might have been.
I'll have to find the highlights of that.
Yeah.
Put it in.
Yeah. But forwards for me, Thierry Henry is a no-brainer. I think he's one of the best players the Premier League's ever seen. So he was one of the few people that I used to watch and think sometimes he made it look like he was an adult playing in kids football.
Yeah.
And he just made it look that easy. So yeah, he would be in there. And I'm going to throw a curveball in because it wasn't Premier League, but I played in a pre-season friendly against Juventus back in the early 90s, and I got to play against Roberto Baggio.
Okay, yeah, Roberto Baggio.
And so whenever people ask me who was the best player you ever played against, I normally pick between Thierry Henry and Roberto Baggio.
Okay,
so
Baggio
playing off of Thierry Henry wouldn't be a bad strike.
Yeah. Brilliant.
What about manager against? I mean, that's a tricky one, I suppose. But
well, in my era, there's only one really. It'd be Fergie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
would you have liked to play for him at all if he's come to Southampton for some reason?
Yeah, I think I'd have quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's kind of had the record that he had as a footballer, you'd want to play for that.
Yeah.
And he seemed to want to be on the front foot. His teams wanted to go and attack teams, home and away. He wasn't one of those managers that kind of, went away in Europe and kind of played for a 0-0 draw. He wasn't that type. So, I think I would have enjoyed that.
Okay.
So in that side, who, if any, get the world-class stamp, or maybe quite a lot of them, I would imagine.
Yeah. Omri, Baggio, Gascoigne, Hoddle, Southall.
Arsenal back four.
Vieira, DJ Vieira, maybe? It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was so many. I mean, as left backs go, I've seen too many that were better than Stuart Pearce.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't just a bully. He also scored a goal as well. He
Take a penalty as well.
Good attacking threat down that left hand side,
Yep.
especially in that Forest team when him and Nigel Clough used to just play 1-2s around the box and he'd go steaming into the area. So yeah, you'd probably say there was quite a few in that team.